So that's the work on any given day for me, to be able to stand solid in knowing who I am, because it's when I forget. That's what causes the turmoil. That's what causes the challenges. As we were saying, going down the smooth river and feeling really good and calm, and then suddenly turning the curve. Next slide. And we free fall. Something comes at us. I wasn't expecting that. All of a sudden, we're on this beautiful little river, and then we hit some turbulence, and then we hit a waterfall, and we're free falling. That's where the work needs to be done, to reground. How do I refine my equilibrium? So the title of my talk is Free Fall. Have you ever had one of those days? Yeah, I know that I have a number of times. And actually, I want to share a story as an illustration of someone that probably experienced that. There is a woman. She was born with some health challenges. She was born 2.5 pounds. She grew up and knowing that she was different. Actually, let me back up. She didn't know that she was different from other people until she entered kindergarten. Up until that point, her mom had said, "You're beautiful. We love you. You're absolutely wonderful," until she showed up that first day in kindergarten. And they looked at her, and you could see the look of terror in her friend's eyes, because something was wrong. She looked very different. She has a condition where she can't put on weight. And her parents said, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're just littler. You're more little." And so really focusing on really healthy self-esteem for her parents, of really knowing who you are, until she was in high school. And she should be doing her homework, and she went to find some music on YouTube. And next slide, please. She found an 8-second clip, which had over 4 million views, and it was titled, "The World's Ugliest Woman." When she hit the click, it was a picture of herself. That's the free fall. When that happens, what do? The comments were, "Kill it with fire. Do the world a favor. Put a gun to your head and kill yourself. You're a monster." So suddenly this beautiful 17-year-old who didn't look like other people had to question, am I going to be defined by these other statements? Because my mom had always told me, my parents had always told me that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just as good, I'm just as smart, I'm just as creative as everyone else. Her self-definition, but then suddenly a comment was made, and that Newtonian type thing of this is what your value is, in terms of esteem, in terms of a pecking order. Next slide. And this is the woman, Lizzie Velasquez. She went on to do a TED Talk, which definitely recommend you taking a look at it. I think it's now 13 million views. And she decided to transform the bullying into a battle with kindness, to be able to show what her value is based on, next slide, I'm going to combat bullying with kindness and a brave heart. I decided I was going to let my goals and my success and my accomplishments be the things that define me, not my outward appearance. She's an inspiration. She's gone on, she's written 3 books. She's a speaker. She's inspiring. And this is personal. This is personal to me. I've spent much of my life struggling with esteem, self-esteem. I have scarring on my back from when I was a child that I was able to keep and hide it from other people. But what I realized is I started going through life thinking that scarring on my back defined who I am. And because I didn't have a clear understanding of I know who I am, and my self-esteem, my self-confidence, my self-image was really diminished. To this day, I'm much more clear of who I am and what I do. I can also look back at the scarring and realize, this has really served me well. I came out as a gay man in the height of the AIDS crisis. There's that part of me that doesn't escape me. This biggest liability, this scarring, this insecurity for me is probably the one thing that kept me safe from contracting HIV or AIDS. I'm alive today because of the scarring on my back. It's like, what's my relationship to it? It's much healthier now, although I still, at the gym, will always have a towel over my back, and I'll sort of walk away. Like, it's still something I feel I need to hide. It needs something that I need to conceal because I mistake that as thinking like, that's who I am. That's what people will think I am. I'm the monster. Cute face until you see the back. In terms of the fraud, the imposter syndrome. When the truth of the matter is, I need to remember who I am. And with that, I'm going to have Jason come up and invite you to take a deep breath right now.
1, 2.
Close your eyes. I'd just like you to, with your inner eye, rise above yourself and take a look at your life. What are your beauties? What are your scars? How do you see yourself? Do you stand proud in front of the mirror? Or do you shy away? There's no right, there's no wrong. You are beautiful. You're beautiful. Craig, you're beautiful. Liz, Connie, there's so much beauty in this room. Doug, Laura, Jeannie, you're beautiful. Do you know it? Jeannie, do you know it? Now you do. And that's why we come together, to remind one another, to be the reflection of one another. So the song it's an anthem. It's a beautiful song. As Jason liked to remind me, it's a difficult song. But I want to thank you so much for bringing it to us. Once again, Jason Wright. So the words that people can say, you're a monster, you're beautiful. Which ones do we give credence to and which ones don't we? And sometimes what are the most damaging ones? What someone else says, an anonymous person, or those voices that run internally? I know my answer. The one that gets me over and over and over again is those internal words. There's something wrong with you. You must be fundamentally flawed. And that's not the truth, but that's the narrative. And that's a narrative that, when it keeps playing over and over and over, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, some may say lifetime after a lifetime. That's the opportunity to rewrite the story. That's what I love about Lizzie Velasquez. She was very clear, I'm not going to be defined by these anonymous people who I don't even know. 4 million of them, but I'm going to stand clear and strong in who I am and go out into the world and be an inspiration for others. She realized that she was going to be her own light, and by being that light, it allows her or enables her to be the light for other people and for them to see their own magnificence. A central theme of her talk, and even really here, as Dr. James and I were talking about, so what defines you? What defines us? If we're living in self-esteem from the Newtonian prism, as we were saying, things outside of us, it's kind of like a prison. There's nothing fixed. If I win, I can feel really great. But until I misstep, and oh shit, I feel worse. It's a fluid state. So that's why the shift from the Newtonian to the quantum, the new thought, the new thought now coming here to remind us of, let's bypass the way many of us have been conditioned and the neural pathways, and let's really move into I am the rock, I'm the wind, I'm the stone, I am all of it. It's an inside job. Next slide, please. So for me, it was sort of playing around there, sort of a trinity of ideas. And Dr. James was actually brought up the other one, self-confidence. And so I was looking at it we have self-image, we have self-esteem, and we have self-worth. So self-esteem, since it's the theme of the month, we'll start there, shall we? And I see it kind of as a scorecard. And that could be an internal scorecard or an external scorecard of, next slide, please. Whoops, next slide. And we'll go back. So self-esteem. Self-esteem is not an estimate of your worth based on external achievements, but a recognition of your intrinsic divinity. A scorecard of how we feel about our wins or losses. So our esteem can vary, and the byproduct, as Dr. Holly was saying, would be our confidence level. If we have low self-esteem, we move in a way and we have a lower confidence. But when we feel the esteem of it, we feel good about ourselves, we have a different level of confidence. Now, can you go back one? So self-image. Self-image is the internal blueprint of who we believe we are. So it's like a little snapshot. And the tough thing about that, we could be in the cave, we could be in the dark room with the elephant. We still have the image that we hold in our mind of how we see ourselves. There was a plastic surgeon in the 1950s named Maxwell Maltz, and he was a pioneer in the psycho-cybernetics. Some brilliant work, but he was really fascinated on the whole self-image thing. So he'd do a study of 2 men, 2 women, 2 people with similar disfigurations would come in, and they would have surgery. They'd have a nose job done or whatnot. And he was fascinated. Same surgery, same basic results. Why would one feel fantastic? And why would the other one go into a depression and not do it? So it was for him realizing, it's actually an internal blueprint. It doesn't matter what the new nose looked like. If you believed that you're still ugly, then that's the thought that we do. So self-image, I think, of tied to really deep belief systems, and new thought now, change your thinking, change your life. Behind all those thoughts are beliefs. We think the things that we think based on the beliefs that we hold. So if we hold a flawed self-image, if we've got a belief system that's deeply embedded into us, of there's something wrong with me. Oh, I'm not lovable because of this or that. If that image plays in, or I always mess up, I always fail. Like if there is a self-image of wealth in terms of relationship, in terms of beauty, that self-image, that belief system is what propels a course of action. So Ernest Holmes would talk from this: the subjective mind accepts what we feed it. It doesn't differentiate. It's impartial. Its job, the law, the subjective mind, its job is just to produce. And so it is. Yes. Yes. I am ugly. Yes. I am beautiful. Yes. I am beautiful. Yes, and that's what I loved about that song. It was an affirmation, but it was a declaration. It was a remembrance of, it was a reprogramming of the subjective mind so that it can play out. Next slide, please. The next one is self-worth. So to me, there is the correlation between self-worth, self-image, and self-esteem. But self-worth is the I am consciousness. It is remembering who you are. It's the spiritual sovereignty. So it's not earned. A job can't define it. A breakup can't do it. A big win or a big loss can't define it, because it's a frequency. The frequency of who you are, the frequency of God, the frequency of the universe, the frequency of all the intelligence, all the creativity, all the possibilities. That's who you are. You're valuable simply because you exist. Next slide, please. I refuse to collapse my potential into your definitions. Once again, those definitions, how many of them are self-defined and how many of them are defined by others? Most of us, I don't want to generalize, much of the time, I try to fix my self-esteem. People fix their self-esteem by just rearranging a room in the dark, by feeling at the tusk. Like, oh, if I just make it smoother. If that leg was just a little stronger or a little thinner. But Rumi and Lizzie Velasquez, they said, stop trying to fix the elephant. Instead, strike the match. Remember who you are. It's that simple. Not easy, but it's that simple. Going back to loving only, forgiving everything, and remembering who you are. As I close up, I wanted to, can I get the next slide, please? Remind you that you are beautiful. Once again, I invite you, Robbie, if you could play some soft music. Sort of close your eyes just for a moment. And invite you to, oh sorry, Robbie, I didn't realize you weren't there. So I invite you to take a deep breath. Close your eyes. And for this moment, can you set aside the scorecard? The scorecard of your self-esteem. However it's marked up, whoever marked it. In this moment, can you put down the mirror of your self-image? And just for this breath, let go of everything you think you're supposed to be. In this moment, you aren't a name, you're not a job, you're not a body. It doesn't matter where you come from or where you're going. You are the observer, as Rumi said. You are the candle. Feel that warm candle, that flicker of light in the center of your heart. And with each breath, allow it to grow and expand. This is your sovereign flame of self-worth. Flame that cannot go out. That is so magnificent and so strong and so beautiful. You are already enough. You are the ocean in a drop. Now shift your energy. Move away from the drop and into the entire ocean. Now open your eyes. Say to yourself, I am beautiful. We'll try one more time. Open your eyes, and with a smile, say it to yourself, but out loud, I am beautiful. Now turn to someone next to you or behind you and tell them that they are beautiful. I know because I am. I know beauty because I am beautiful. Each and every one of us is beautiful and sovereign and strong. So your invitation today as we leave is to walk out the door and to let the scorecard down. Don't be a blind man touching things and only getting a partial truth. Be willing to look and feel and try to understand it from a different perspective. Because when you stand in self-worth, you give everyone the permission to light their own internal spark. And so it is. You are beautiful. Thank you so much.